Hello everyone, welcome to today's online event, What's New in Dynamics CRM 2016. My name is Natalie and I'm the Marketing Manager here at Corporate Renaissance Group. As most of you know, CR Group is a member of the Microsoft Partner Network, and we implement and configure and support Microsoft Enterprise solutions like Dynamics GP, CRM, AX, as well as SharePoint and Office 365. So I can tell you CR Group uses Dynamics CRM extensively for not only sales funnel management, but customer support tracking and other customer relations and marketing activities. Like many others, I have CRM open on my phone or desktop all day and have been very pleased with the new enhancements and features available in CRM 2016. So we look forward to presenting these to you today. So just a few housekeeping notes before we get started. This webinar is being recorded and will be sent out after today's presentation, so keep an eye out for that so you can rewatch and share. We also encourage you to ask questions, so please submit in the GoToWebinar panel and we will do our best to get to them at the end of the presentation. So with that, I'm happy to introduce you to your presenter today. Matthew Foy is a .NET developer and one of CR Group's CRM and SharePoint gurus. Matt, thanks for joining us today and telling us what's new in CRM 2016. We look forward to your presentation.
Thanks, Natalie. So CRM 2016 introduces a whole host of new features. The major themes for this release are Transformative Service with a focus on field and project service, community engagement through portal solutions, and intelligence with new machine learning scenarios and guided navigation. So the Transformative Services new approach is basically a cloud-first, mobile-first, everything-as-a-service model. Companies are moving away from old models of selling separate products and services as single transactions to more comprehensive solutions that are inclusive of value-add service for those products. Companies now also have the ability to access not just their internal resources to perform services, but increasingly they can leverage the skills and availability of third-party resources. And with the Internet of Things technology, there's a whole new opportunity to monitor device data, detect anomalies, and proactively identify next best actions for maintenance and repairs. The new model of everything as a service enables managed service offerings, including product installation, ongoing and preventative maintenance, upgrades, overhauls, and ongoing billing. With the new field and project service capabilities we're introducing in this Spring 2016 update, CRM is helping customers with the transition to everything as a service model. Field and project service, with field and project services, organizations will have the ability to schedule, manage, and deliver on-site services, whether it be their field technician who is supporting multiple customers on a single day or complex multi-day projects. Field services matches proficiency and competency requirements for service calls against available resources for intelligent resource allocation, and end-to-end processes span from case management through to work order completion. Project Service enables complex multi-day engagements and optimizes resourcing with intelligent skill-based assignments. With our new field and project service capabilities, we're not only the only vendor in the market to support the breadth of self-assisted and on-site service. So for a closer look at these services, we have Field Service, which is, like I mentioned before, coordinating services, resources, and customers with a very nice scheduling tool. And project services, where you can coordinate resources with tasks and proficiencies. And there's also employee self-service, which helps with the onboarding process of new employees and getting them up to speed. For community engagement, CRM is introducing portals. So this is a way that you can expose certain parts of CRM to the public, to your customers, to help them engage and access services and documentation. So portals, for example, you could have a customer portal. Whoops. Or you could have a community portal for forums and blogs. You could have an employee portal where people can access their internal user data, or a partner portal for other companies. For intelligence, we have guided navigation, machine learning, and Power BI. So guided navigation helps with employee onboarding and makes CRM a lot easier to use. As you may notice throughout the demonstration, there's a lot of new features in CRM, and some of them are hard to grasp at first. The guided learning helps people get on board and understand it very quickly. There's also some machine learning algorithms targeted at social media, but we won't be going into too much of that today. And then there's also Power BI, which creates beautiful dashboards and charts, and now you can have those tiles directly in your CRM dashboard. So just to recap, there's the navigation, which will be context sensitive and have flyouts. Whoops. And you'll see that in the top right here. For example, you just get a nice flyout that offers you tours and documentation, videos that will teach you how to use CRM, get around, and use certain entities. So this will be context sensitive, and based on where you are in CRM or what the system thinks you're trying to do, it'll provide you with information to empower users to figure out how to do that effectively. So to quickly highlight what we're trying to show, Microsoft Dynamics CRM 2016 Online is part of the Office 365 suite depending on your subscription model. So with that, you usually get a whole host of web applications such as SharePoint, Excel, Word, PowerPoint, OneNote, the typical Office apps that you're used to, in addition to a whole bunch more. One thing that's pretty cool is Power BI, and this basically has much more interactive and powerful charts and reports than you would normally expect in Dynamics CRM. So as some of you may be aware, you can have charts and dashboards in CRM, but they're somewhat limited in their functionality. Power BI takes that reporting and charting capabilities to the next level. So if you can see here, we have different dashboards for sales and service. So in service, we can see how many resolved cases we have in the last week, how many incoming cases we've had, certain other metrics. And if we click through and go to the reports, it actually creates a very interactive dashboard that you can drill down through. So for example, we can focus and highlight our data. All the charts update to reflect what we're looking at. So if we're looking at the high priority cases, we'll see it's a mix of problems, requests, and unknown, and that it comes from an equal variety of sources. And you can see what countries they're originating from depending on how that's been set up. So what's new in CRM 2016 is that you can take these tiles and put them right in your dashboard. So for example, I've created a dashboard here that shows you your users' active cases and then has Power BI tiles on the side. So all this nice, powerful charting functionality is now right in CRM, and you don't have to be toggling between different Office 365 apps to have it. It's all at your fingertips. Another improvement that's worth mentioning is if you're using the Office Outlook web client, you can have the CRM add-in installed on the server side, so end users don't have to install and configure it. This removes a major pain point, as I'm sure some of you have experience with this add-in in the past. It can be tricky. Now you don't have to worry about that. It's set up server side and just works, which is amazing. One other small feature worth mentioning before we get into the meat of the matter is the ability to have document templates in CRM. So if we go to our contacts, let's say we regularly want to create letters and mail them to contacts. If you're always creating new Word documents based on a copy and pasted document somewhere and replacing the fields, it's more error prone and a little more tedious. It stands to be a lot better. So 2016 addresses that with Word templates. So to show you how easy it is to create one, we go to, let's see, we'll select a contact, go to Word templates, and we can create a Word template. So this will download the contact document template, and we'll then edit it right in Word. So you see it just downloads. We open it up, and now we could say something like, hello, and then in the XML mapping pane in Word, we can go into the contact form fields, and we can say we can pull their full name. Now we add this as a plain text control. And just to create a very simplistic example, and let's save as, I'll call it contact letter. And now when we go back to CRM, we can go back to that template section. This time we'll upload it. Simple drag and drop. Now you see it'll tell us little details about the template we've uploaded. Now we can go back to the contacts, and let's say we select Alex Wu. Now we can go use this Word template, and let's see. Yes, we'll just refresh this now that we've added a new one. So here we have the new template we uploaded, and you see that it automatically just generated the document and it downloaded it for us. So this is kind of like mail merge, but for Word documents, and you can do the same thing with Excel. So this is very powerful, very nice, very convenient. If you're doing this for different entity types, you can have different templates. You can have multiple, as you could see. So you can have different letters. You could generate invoices this way for printing and mailing. It's very nice. Another new feature that's new in 2016, which is very powerful, is actually creating surveys. So this is called the Voice of the Customer, and it's an add-in available for CRM 2016. And through this, you can create surveys, send them out to contacts, collect results, and process the results all within CRM. So this is amazing because we've often had clients who wanted a way to send out requests to contacts to prompt them to update their own contact information. With this, you could create a survey that prompts them to enter their contact information, to help you keep up to date with them. And you could run this annually. And when the results come back, you can set up a workflow that perhaps prompts a manager for approval and then pushes that data back to the contact record. So this way you can keep their updated address, name, email very easily. So to show quickly some of the capabilities of the survey designer, when we click New Survey, one of the things you'll notice is at the top left there's a little drop-down menu that's not normally on CRM records. So let's just open up the designer, or we'll give it a name first. Let's make a customer satisfaction survey. So when we go to the designer, it's a nice drag and drop interface where we can add different elements to our survey. So by default, we have a welcome page, first page of questions, and then a completion page. So we can just say, please let us know how we did. And on this page, we can create, let's see, a smileys rating. So it will help you select the best face that describes your relationship with the organization. So we'll just leave the defaults for now. So for example, you can select all these options. We'll just leave that as it is. And as people go through and complete this survey, the results will get collected. And although not in this case, you could push the data back to the contact record itself, or you could do reporting based on aggregate results from the survey. So you could see that, the majority of people said very satisfied or delighted, as opposed to bored or disappointed. So this is highly configurable and a very powerful option. We won't get into it too much today because it's kind of its own product, but this gives you an idea of the kinds of things you can do with surveys through voice of the customer. So the next thing that I'd like to talk about is the project services automation. So this is definitely a big new feature in Dynamics CRM. It's basically its own product. It adds a huge host of project-based services and functionalities to CRM that let you track projects, tasks, resources, expenses, etc. If we look under here, just some of the example entities that get added, we have expenses, time entries, bookings, projects, project templates. For example, if you repeatedly have a project that uses a specific format, then you can save a copy of one of those projects as a template and just create copies of it, modify them slightly, and you're good to go. To show how easy it is to create a new project, all you have to do is, click New Project, enter a name, for example, a software development project, and a lot of the things are very simple, just like estimate start. Let's say we're going to start tomorrow. Hopefully we'll be finished next week. We say maybe it takes 40 hours. And we'll say it's going to be, $10 whole. So when we save this, you'll notice we have this nice business process flow. So if we don't want to deal with the quote and, approving the thing, we can get right to planning. So you can add and associate projects to project contracts, just to jump back and show that. So we can have different projects here for different contracts for the projects. So if we open up this one, you see it has the customer information, billing information. This has been approved already. You can see there's different tasks related to this. For example, the software itself and then the support. You can get very fine-grained with this or very high level depending on what kind of information you want to add. And then one thing that you can also do with this is then associate this with projects. So if we go add an existing project, say we look up that software one we just created. Whoops. It looks like there's a small bug, but I think, yes. So you can at least create a new project from here, similarly just doing a name. Add some basic information. And then once you're in the project and it's been sort of set up, what you can do is associate the tasks related to this project in a work breakdown structure. So this lets you use kind of Gantt chart style project management. So for example, we have the one high-level task and we can create child tasks. For example, task A, which is going to take 10 hours. And then we can add a new task, task B, which will take 5 hours, and set the other task as a predecessor. And you can see it automatically renders the Gantt chart. Now as your resources complete the task and put time against it and mark completion, these bars will actually slowly turn from blue to green so you can see how much of the project is complete. Additionally, you have this red bar that indicates the current date and time, so you can just get a very nice initial glance at the project and see that the red bar is mostly behind all the green bars, so you're good, as opposed to where the red bar is going through these bars and they're still all blue, which would be you're a little behind schedule. can also see that it's flexible and it tries to schedule it automatically. As things shift and you add more tasks and prerequisites, it'll try and arrange it. It's pretty nice. You can move the tasks around, indent, outdent, move up, down. You don't have to look at the Gantt chart if you're not interested in it, so you can see these fields more clearly. And then if you have resources set up, you can try and generate a team based on this. So if the tasks have more information like categories and roles, and you have resources in the system with proficiencies that match those, you can try and quickly come up with teams, which is pretty powerful. And as your users use the system, they can add time entries and expenses. So this is, let's say they work 5 hours on a specific task. They select, what they did, which project it was for, and then even the task. So for example, let's say, I want to log 1 hour against task A. I can save that, and you'll basically create a timesheet this way. Very similarly with expenses. Just go. You add expenses in a very similar manner. You select the project. You can't select a specific task, but that's because expenses are against the project. So I've entered some basic categories previously. So for example, let's say I had to travel to the client site. I wanted to bill for this. You could say, cab fare was this much. You can upload receipts as well for approval purposes. Now, normal users can't just arbitrarily add expenses and time entries, etc. It'll go first to a project manager for approval and then be tracked against the project. This way people can't, add egregious expenses and ruin the budget for a project without some oversight. So you can see it's in draft mode. So if we go submit this, you can see it takes the expenses we've currently added, and if you've added multiple with different categories, it'll show you a breakdown, the total, and if we submit, then it would go to the manager for approval. So you can see it's been submitted and can't be modified now. You can still see that pie chart view at any time from this pane. You can, of course, scroll through this in a calendar view, so you track when these expenses were incurred. Now if we go back to the project, we can see more information about the project now. So the work breakdown structure is very flexible, and you can continue editing it as the project continues. Project tracking will show you what kind of the hours. Now because they haven't been approved yet, I don't think it'll appear here, but it'll show you as it fills up how many effort, the progress percent, the remaining hours that you can bill, the actual hours that you have incurred, and the estimate. You can also configure resource requirements for the project and add project team members. So these are CRM users, so they'd be using the same system. And throughout this whole system, you can basically manage projects and tasks and estimates and get high-level information about the status of the project all within CRM. You can even then generate invoices to send to the client based on the data from CRM about the project. Another thing that you can do that I'll mention a little more in detail later is create a portal that provides insight for the client so they can actually log in and see information about the project, the status, the expenses, etc. So they can get a glance of a dashboard for themselves to see if things are on track or behind schedule, etc. So the next major feature that I'd like to talk about is field service. So if we go to this field service thing in the navigation ribbon, we'll see that we have a schedule board, specific resource bookings, and work orders as the main entities here. So if we look at the work orders, let's say a customer wants to schedule some routine maintenance. We can just create a new work order. So up in the business process, we just select the account. So let's say it's City Power and Light, and they need machine maintenance. So you can configure a whole bunch of different types of incident types, and it'll show you how many minutes it's estimated to take here. This is configured at the incident type level. So for example, if we wanted to create a new incident type for different things that you could send out service reps or technicians for, you could say perhaps like installing a router. And then we'll just save this so we can add some relationships. We'll say that the default work order type is a service call. These are all more things that can be configured. Much like the project service automation and voice of the customer, this is a very mature and complex component, and it would be nigh impossible to cover all the things that you can do with it in a 1-hour webinar. But I'll try and highlight some of the key details. So once you have an incident type set up, you can add specific tasks to it. So with this, you can try and outline how installing a router should happen. For example, let's say we want to start by talking to the customer if they're home. Let them know that you're going to put the router in a certain room. You're going to hook it up to certain wires. Sorry, so we create this here and then associate it. So we say, maybe we're going to spend 10 minutes just talking to the customer, letting them know what's going to happen and when. We save and close this. And we see it's added that first task. And we can add another one. So let's say we want to find where all the wires are, see what other equipment has already been installed. Oops. Yes, we have to create that. Let's say we spend 20 minutes looking in the networking closet. Save this. And then, last but not least, we'll actually install the router. Oh, yes, yes. And we'll say this will take maybe 50 minutes to install it, test it, etc. So now we can see we have these 3 tasks. It shows the order that they generally happen in and the estimate time. So this is 80 minutes in total. So when we close this, if we come back here and delete this field, we can see that we have installing a router 80, machine maintenance 70. So filling in these fields will automatically populate certain things. For example, you can see the address of the client has already been pushed through. Now let's say we need to do this, let's say, between tomorrow and Tuesday. And they only want us to do it between, let's say, between 8 a.m. and, let's say, 2 p.m. Save. Oh, yes, we get a price list. So now that we've saved this record, a simple work order for City Power and Light to install a new router, we can actually use the Schedule Assistant to find a resource and try and find a time in their schedule and based on their location to complete this request. This is a nice tool that will bring up a kind of a schedule explorer or a resource explorer. You can search through available resources, so we're just going to look for users, and you select the radius. So like if you have resources all across North America in different cities, and similarly with clients, you can filter it so that you're only seeing, the technical resources you have that are actually close to the client. And well, when it does work, it'll help you automatically choose a schedule for them. I did this on a couple work orders before, so you can see that when it does successfully find a resource that's available to complete the service, it'll estimate the time, travel, etc. So if we go back to or if we now go to the schedule board, this is where administrators can see, the resources that you have and the work orders they have in their schedule. So you can see David here has 2 work orders back to back. If you have unscheduled work orders, you can actually just drag and drop them right into the schedule. So now this is a scheduled work order. It's out of the unscheduled queue, and it's on David's plate. Now, David would be able to configure it so that he gets notifications when new work orders are assigned to him, and this will estimate, I believe, his travel time. So in the system, you set the location of the resources and the clients, and I believe he's right there this day because all 3 of these are the same client site, so he has no travel time. So if you have lots of different resources and lots of different work orders, you can see, this will fill up quite nicely, and you'll be able to get a glance of who's busy, who's free. You can see here it estimates that he has, a 15% kind of usage rate of his ability because he's got a schedule that's wide open right now. And to show some of the things that you can do with the field service, I'll show you a short video from Microsoft. This highlights some of the features of this.
Field service is a way to manage a mobile workforce while delivering products and services to a client's location. The goal is to get the right people with the right skill set to the right place and give them the right resources to do the job. It's built on top of Microsoft Dynamics CRM, and it allows organizations to do many things like reduce cost, increase profits, and enable great customer service. Field service is a great fit for organizations who are primarily focused on servicing customers. They typically focus on installations, repairs, or preventive maintenance. They usually have a scheduling dispatch team that focuses on scheduling their field technicians out to the client location to perform the work. Some examples of industries that are a good fit for field service include medical and home healthcare services, industrial and HVAC services, utilities, safety inspection services, just to name a few. Field service offers many benefits, including centralization of scheduling and dispatch using the field service schedule board, communication updates and notifications from technicians in the field, work order management, preventive maintenance management, service parts and asset management, inventory management and purchasing, repair and return processing, and mobile collaboration with offline access. A typical scenario is a customer calls into a central dispatch location with a problem that they're experiencing. The dispatcher then examines the schedule board and tries to find a time where they can send out a technician to help out the customer with that particular problem. A work order detailing the problem is created by the dispatcher and scheduled to the field technician. The technician arrives on site and documents the issue. At that point, the technician can either address the problem or schedule a follow-up visit if needed. Field Service is available as an add-on for our Microsoft Dynamics CRM Online customers. Just log into your Office 365 subscription, go to CRM, and look for the Field Service add-on.
So that should give you an idea of some of the power that you can wield with the Field Service add-on. When you have it fully populated, it's a very powerful tool to manage your mobile workforce. And then the last major feature that's new in CRM 2016 that I'd like to talk about today is portals. So portals are a way to expose CRM data in a controlled manner to external users. So this is an example of a demo portal. So this is, for example, let's say a customer portal where customers can log in to see, events, the forums, access surveys, see content that your company publishes. And one of the neat things that you can do by exposing this through CRM is that you can, for example, show them CRM entities in this portal. So for example, this is like a help desk page with a knowledge base application, but then it also shows you the specific user's actual active cases. So I logged in or created an account for myself on this portal, and in Dynamics CRM I created a case for this contact, and then when you go to the web portal you'll be able to see that here. So if we click on the record, it'll open it and show us some of the details. This is highly configurable, so you can have different form views so that in the portal you can see certain fields, but then in the CRM side you have access to much more functionality. So for example, in this form, the customer could mark the case as resolved or cancel it or add some notes and feedback. And it's also possible to expose new forms to create new cases, so you can empower your customers through self-service so they can go in and create their own cases, their own support requests. Some other good examples of being able to use portals to allow contacts to access your CRM directly this way or indirectly this way is you can have a form that allows people to apply for grants at a foundation or perhaps express interest in one of your products or even submit an order online. And of course through case management by creating your own support tickets. Another thing that you can do through portals is actually publish web content. So for example, you could have a blog ran in this forum or in this portal. You could have forums so that your contacts can engage with each other and share knowledge and insight. And news, having perhaps an announcements page showing upcoming new products, etc. Now there's a lot you can do with portals. Obviously you can have a customer portal to allow customers to do the kinds of things I mentioned earlier. But you can also have an employee portal. So if you have employees who aren't actually CRM users through the licensing, you can set up a portal for them so that they can see certain entities from CRM in this web environment instead of logging into CRM directly. So for example, your employees could manage payroll and benefits, maybe their resume or their skills and experience, maybe even put in requests or complaints or suggestions through a portal that gets tracked directly in CRM. Another thing that you could do is create, say like a portal that's just for publishing content where you don't actually have people who log in, and that way you can manage your content through CRM. So in CRM you can see that the portals are managed under this portals entity, so you can expose different entities as forms or lists. So for example, if you wanted customers to be able to see their upcoming field service visits, you could create a list view that only shows specific contacts their own information and publish it through a portal so that people could check online to see when that technician is scheduled to arrive and maybe even request work orders through an online form without having to call or email in and have an administrator actually create their own work order manually. And that's it for now for CRM 2016 new features. There's obviously a lot of depth to each of these individual add-ons, and they could probably warrant their own webinar each. For more information, we'll send out a link to the documentation that Microsoft publishes for these, along with the video that we showed you, among many others, so you can get a closer look at some of these. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, hi, thanks, Matt. A reminder to everyone, if you have questions, please submit them in your GoToWebinar panel and we'll get to them. We had a few roll in during your presentation, so I think I'll just go ahead and ask you these. The first is, are these add-ons included for free?
So yes, as was briefly mentioned in that video, all you have to do is have one of the managers of the subscription go into the CRM admin panel and simply install the add-ons they want. So this way you don't get overwhelmed with all these different features at once, but they're completely free and included.
Great, thank you. Another question we have is, are there user guides for the add-ons?
So yes, Microsoft publishes some simple user guides with step-by-step instructions on how to do simple things like creating a project or setting up the work structure, etc. We'll send out links in the follow-up email.
Thank you, Matt. Another question here about Field 1, showing Field 1.
Showing Field 1. So Field 1 was recently acquired by Microsoft, and that's where this field service component actually came from. So Microsoft didn't necessarily develop this entirely in-house. This is basically Field 1's product that Microsoft has acquired. So it's the thing with the work orders, the schedule board, etc. We ran into a small bug when I was trying to demonstrate it, but it's quite powerful, especially with the ability to look at the geocodes for these things, where you have an address for your customer and an address for your resources, and it will show estimated travel times or plan routes or try and optimize their schedule based on that.
Okay, great. And if anyone wants a deeper dive into that, they can always contact us. I'll put the contact screen up in just a moment. Okay, so I have one more question for you, Matt. Are these add-ons separate or can they work together?
So to some extent, they're independent. You can install multiple add-ons, of course, but for example, if you install the field service and the projects automation one, it won't necessarily interact directly. Like you can't cleanly link like ongoing maintenance requests to an existing project contract, but with a little customization, you could create a pretty nice seamless integration. And of course, they all tie in very nicely to portals, allowing you to expose certain aspects of that information to your contacts.
Okay, great. Thank you, Matt. Those are all of the questions that I've received. If there are any others, get them in. Otherwise, I think that was a great overview of what's new in Dynamics CRM. If there are other questions or if you want to see more, you can contact us. I think Matt's going to put up a contact slide. Contact us, crg@crgroup.com. I also encourage you to visit our webinars page, crgroup.com/webinars, for other live events that are coming up. If you need anything else, please reach out. Thank you for joining again and have a great day.